What's up, brother?
What's
We're
up,
back,
man?
dude. I'm excited to be here today. We got some good. We always bring some good energy to share. We were just talking about, and for everyone that's tuning in, we're going to be talking about faith today.
The next 12 weeks are sponsored by Alex Jimenez. Alex is a coach, a speaker, and a VA home loan specialist. To learn more about how Alex Jimenez is serving the veteran community as well as our local community, go to ajnashville.com.
Because if you believe like me and Mike believe, faith is maybe, you know what, I'm good with. I'm just going to send it. Faith is going to be the most important part of your journey. That's my personal belief. Go ahead, Mike. Go dive in.
Let's talk about this for a second. And I'd like to paint a picture for you guys. So in 2008, 10, I started my personal development journey. And actually, this is sort of true. When I was really young, I've mentioned this before on the show, my dad was listening to The Strangest Secret and Napoleon Hill and Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins when I was like,
dude.
3.
So let me, if I remember when we first met, you were telling me that, and I remember thinking like, man, how powerful. I remember like when you were telling me, I didn't say nothing out loud, but I remember thinking like, wow, how powerful was that? I just wanted to share that with you. Dive back in, brother. That is powerful.
I'm getting the chills thinking about it right now. So anyway, and a clear thing on this story. This is just this is my experience of this. So I want to share just what this picture looks like. So I have had this since I was very young, right? The law of attraction, tuning your unconscious mind. Like, at 10 years old or 5 years old, like, what is my unconscious mind? And it's funny. My dad used to say things like, oh, it's the part of you that controls what your body intuitively does when you're jumping your bike in the air and knowing exactly when to land.
Well put.
Oh, interesting. Cool. Okay. It's the part of you that knows what to do when you fall. It's the part of you that knows what to do with the oxygen you suck into your lungs that you're not thinking about while you're pedaling up that hill over there. Okay, thanks, Dad. Anyway, I started my aware, active, conscious personal development journey in 2008, 9, 10, which is when I actively, consciously started reading books. And you can laugh all you want. I'm 34 years old. I didn't start reading books until I was like 20. I mean, like I've read things, for school and whatnot, skimmed
Bro,
them.
hold on. I just want to dude, I remember vividly. I was 26 when I started reading books. So you were 6 years ahead of me.
Oh, I got you. No, dude.
Literally.
You know what though? It just wasn't my thing, man. I would read magazines and I would talk to people, and these people kept coming. Tell me if you can relate to this. These people that kept coming into my proximity that I was like, how are you so wise? Like, how do you have all these different perspectives? How are you so smart? Whatever it is. And it dawned on me, they're just like me. They've just compiled like a database of wisdom from other humans. Oh,
Bingo.
okay. So that's a big deal, like a big deal. And like, if you guys listen to some of our other shows on like, we've talked a lot about like your unconscious mind having the access to all these different things, and your conscious mind can bring these up and use them for certain purposes. We're not going to go into that on this show. It's just you can tune back a few episodes ago and look at that. It's almost like having a library full of books, and you know where to go to grab which book to have which piece of information, boom, and regurgitate it or use it. And that's like wisdom. So I've been on this personal development journey now. It's 2013 recording this episode for 15 years about. And we're talking way more than just reading books. When I moved to Malibu, I was in the proximity of these like highly effective, highly successful entrepreneurs. And I love entrepreneurs. I love people that take an idea or a concept, bring it to fruition with ultimate risk, and turn it into something beautiful, especially when it's something that helps humanity or helps people, right? And it's like, whoa, that guy did what? And I'm just like, wow, like these stories are literally, and I see Greg here nodding his head, like these stories are literally things that like charge my soul. It's like, wow. So anyway, I've been down this road of personal development now several years in. I'm getting different certifications. I'm learning different skills. I'm compiling different stuff. And I'm stacking what I think is the ultimate framework. I like the word stacking because it's like, I listened to this video one time. He said, say you're really good at math. Well, that's not very valuable, but it is, but it's not. So say you're really good at math and then you become like a CPA. Okay, now you can monetize that math easier. Okay, but then still, like, what can you stack on top of being a CPA? Maybe you learn how to
Financial planner.
financial planning, tax code, right? All that, maybe you learn how to save corporations hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Now you're in business. Now you've got a specialty because of your thing down here. You've stacked 3 other things or 4 other things on it. And now you're helping people with their finances. Now you're saving corporations money. Now you're doing this. Now you're doing that. So I've taken that same concept and use that with personal development, fueled with a burning desire to become a better entrepreneur, become an idea machine. And I've always been, it's interesting because Greg has a really cool like vision part of him where Greg can see this whole vision and he can put puzzle pieces together. And I'm a person that's like, I am like a magic puzzle piece finder, but I struggle with that vision. I'm like, hey, Greg, hey, man, I got this piece right here. I got this piece over here. Like, I got this piece over here. I got this piece over here. And it took me a really long time to sit back and celebrate the value in that skill set.
Mm, that's powerful.
Thank you. The skill set right there is beautiful. And yeah, it's my skill set. So I'm saying it's beautiful, but it's like, it took me a minute because you know what I got was a lot of pushback. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Mike, you should stick to one thing and just do it. And I totally get that. I totally get that. And I also am allowed to bring different magic puzzle pieces because I then align myself with visionaries that have a vision for putting those pieces together and things become birthed out of it. And
Mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm.
because of that, like this podcast, for example, many things get birthed from all this. So I'm on this personal development journey and I've just shared some of my skill set and I'm stacking all of these different elements, even to the point of going into a deep dive of understanding like how my mind works, which thank you for that. Greg has actually been an integral part of learning how to operate my unconscious mind because before I knew it was like a well of information that I could tap on. And, you know, this dude's like, hey, did you know that like you already have a whole bunch of tools in your garage? Yeah. Well, what would it mean if you color coded them and knew where they all were so that like you understood that, oh, okay, if I have this thing over here with the carburetor, I can go to that set of tools. And if that works, great. If that doesn't, I have this green set of tools and then this blue set of tools that can also work. And I was like, whoa, that's really interesting. So I put all these things together. And once I was ready to start a coaching business, because now I'm like, oh, guess what, guys? I've got enough magic puzzle pieces to share some stuff, and now I can build your lives. I was fucking scared shitless.
So, hey, Mike, okay. Let me ask you this. Great
Oh.
time, great spot. Absolutely scared shitless. Now, at some point in time, and I share this with people all the time, at some point in time, the journey of 1,000 miles, right, starts with one step. And after one step, it's quite daunting because there's still 1,000 miles left. And after 2 steps, it's quite daunting because there's still 1,000 miles left. Eventually, we get to 501 miles worth of steps, and we are more than halfway there. Then momentum kicks in, and we got to hang on for the ride. So for all of you that don't have momentum yet, you need something in its place until you get to momentum. Mike, what'd you use in its place when you were scared shitless?
Guys, I found faith. And that looked to
Oh,
me like being able to do a trust fall onto a bed of knives, not literally, and know that it was actually just going to be an open door. In fact, before I got on this message on this podcast today, a man told me this morning that sometimes you just need to have the faith to walk towards the door because you can't see that it's open from the position you're at right now. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh. Now, what does that even look like? Let me just put it out there. I am not a religious person. I have Christian views and Christian faith, and that's a part of it. The faith that God will pour into me and that I am a saved individual and that I am blessed and I can pray and ask for things is beautiful. And also there's also this element that yes, I am a beautiful person and I have a skill set that I've developed and I'm so thankful and grateful for that skill set and I'm going to help others with that skill set is the other half of that faith. And I believe that every human can draw upon that power and that wealth and say, "Hey, how can I serve?" And
Dude,
that's literally what it looks like right there. You can literally, "Hey, man, like in my head, how can I serve? Okay, great. What can I do for Greg today? Okay, great. What can I do for this person today? Okay, great. I've got a closing this afternoon. What can I do for them today?" When I'm doing that and I'm in alignment with, my vision right there, oh, these things just happen. And I couldn't logically put all that together. But if you look back at the things that I just said, I built the skill set. I understood the tools. I color coded the tools. I read a lot of books. I communicated with a lot of people. And then I had the guts to admit that I was really scared. And I
dude, I
kept
want to share.
going. Yeah, well,
Oh,
I
keep going,
kept
keep going, keep
going
going. Forgive me.
until I got well over halfway. But getting to the halfway point was like, I want to quit. I want to quit. If I go back, it's sooner than if I go forward. Because when I was still 450, I was like, it's easier to go 450 than 550.
Mm-hmm.
And what he just said was exactly right. Momentum is like, whew, and momentum.
Like, hang on.
Yeah. And let me give you guys one statement that actually charged my faith more than anything. You can't lose if you don't quit.
Period. I'm still I launched GP Mind Growth Academy 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the first journey, the first events or two, some people were probably sitting on the sidelines like, what's going on? A lot of people are coming off the sidelines now. If I would quit, they would have been validated in their belief to stay on the sidelines. You can't lose if you don't quit. You learn the whole way. Whatever you don't have on year one, you have more of on year two, and you have a whole lot more on year 5 and year 10. If you read the book Outlier, roughly 10 years in or 10,000 hours is when you become the master of a craft. Generally speaking, that's not a guaranteed rule. I want to dive in real quick when we talk about, so if some people listening, you may have no belief in a higher power whatsoever, and that would be your choice. But for everyone else listening that has a belief in a higher power, I don't know how the structure works for not having a belief in a higher power. I'm just not currently aware of how that structure works, so I can't speak on it. For everyone that has a belief in a higher power, your higher power could be, we have different forms of higher powers that believe in, and who am I to say what is right? We draw power, I believe, I'm projecting here for everyone. We draw power from our higher power. But if you ever heard the story about the guy with the flood, and so the flood's coming, you may have heard this one, Mike, and many people on here probably have. The flood's coming, so someone pulls up, the flood gets about knee deep, or maybe it's ankle deep, and someone comes in a lifted 4-wheel drive truck. It's a red Ford. His name is Mike Cimorelli. So someone comes in but someone comes in a truck and they're like, "Hey, get in, it's gonna flood," and he's like, "Nah, Jesus will save me." And then it gets about waist high, and someone comes by on a rowboat, and he's like, "Get in, like it's gonna flood." "Nah, Jesus will save me." Next thing you know, it gets like to the point where the guy's on the roof, and a helicopter comes by, and they're like, "Hey, get in, it's gonna flood." And he's like, "No, Jesus is gonna save me." And so it floods all the way over. The guy drowns, and he goes to the pearly gates, and he says, "Jesus, what happened? You didn't save me." So what are you talking about? I sent you a truck, a boat, and a helicopter. We draw the faith from Jesus sent the boat, the car, the truck, the helicopter. Jesus sent it in this metaphor. Okay, we draw it from our higher power, but holy crap, it's on us to use our faith.
Oh, 100. And you know what, Greg?
It's on us to exercise it. Good.
Perfect metaphor. That is one of my favorite stories. And really it comes from the principle in Chelsea and I's company, A3, is to get out of your head and into your heart where you can hear your calling. And it's interesting because as logical beings, especially males, I would largely say, based on clinical science and clinical psychology, we draw from a more logical, less emotional perspective of our brains.
Dissociation versus association.
Right. That's why we don't understand what our wives are saying. And it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's my fault. And also, it's not as heavy of my fault. I'm not trying to say that you have a get out of jail free card because you're a dude and you don't understand your wife's need for connection or whatever that emotional thing is that we don't understand. I'm just saying, when we get out of our heads, our logic spot, that doesn't come naturally. But when we get into the feels and we say, whoa, like you, for example, you're teaching the certification or you're doing this new thing that you're really excited about. How do you know you're really excited about it? Because you feel it. And
I
it's
would say feeling, yeah.
Yes, it radiates out of you. And it's like, instead of like, yeah, I came up with this thing where I can sell X amount of things and I'll make this much money. That's not what Greg says. Greg says, oh, I have this thing where it's like this, it's being birthed. I'm helping people. There's X amount of slots left. And it's like, it's literally beaming from right here. Yes, he's speaking from right here, but it's beaming from right here. And it's like, you can see the heart beating like faster. And anyway, that's what I think is one of these really beautiful things is like when you're listening, like he just said, like God's like, yeah, dude, I sent you 3 badass vehicles to come pick you up. It's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like God speaks to you through other people and you have to be open to that. I'm not necessarily saying there's a white being right there. You know what I mean? That's like that light above my head and it's just shining, shameful things on you. Not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have people in our proximity when we connect with that faith and we ask, like, how can we serve? I'm asking all the time, hey, I'm so grateful for these things that I have. Does anybody here practice gratitude? I know that I think Greg does. He's very good at it. He's very grateful for a lot of things. When you're grateful for a lot of things, it shows. And then you get more things because you're grateful for those things. Even successful guys that I know that practice like Eastern religions, right? They practice a lot of yoga and different types of prayers, some of them in foreign languages, which I think is really neat. And in fact, I asked one of them, hey man, what do you do? His name is Khalil. He owns Sun Life Organics. He was a crackhead, now he's a multimillionaire. He has a health company. When he starts these juice bars, he does like an energy thing where he hires someone to come in and they put like crystals and plants and other things in there. So it has like this energy flow and he hires specific people. And his whole thing is like, dude, I just want to give back. I just want people to experience vitality and health and beauty. And how I do that is I just pray. And my prayer looks like, hey, God, thank you so much for these people in my life. And he just gives thanks for 10, 15, 20 minutes in the morning, every morning, and probably throughout the day. And when you give thanks to everything, you're so thankful, like you literally start radiating with this beautiful positivity. And it's like towards energy.
Dude, I love that. I'll share. Yeah. So for faith for me, one of the big pieces that have helped me with faith. So I think, well, I'm just sharing my journey. So this isn't for everyone else. So for me, I had to create internal congruency for self. So I could not trust myself. I was talking to someone the other day about rapport. For those of you that rapport, if you've been trained, you got a general idea what's there. If you haven't been trained, you're like, yeah, whatever. Talk about the team that they like. Rapport gets absurdly deep. There's a book called, if you guys are interested, it's called The Like Switch, Like. It will open your eyes to like, holy crap, how deep rapport gets. The Like Switch has to do with like espionage agents and counter espionage and things of that nature, and creating rapport. So when I teach rapport, what I've shared with people is like what you'll find out. I'm not going to teach rapport today, but in order to get in rapport with another person, you have to be very attuned to their model of the world, what they're speaking, the tonality using, their chunk size, how often they're pausing, how big their pause are, how slow they're speaking, what's the volume, where's their hands, where's their feet, where's their back, where's their head tilted at, where's their eyes inside of their skull. I mean, and we're not even like, we're beginning to scratch the surface. We can still talk about their predicates that they use, their primary representational systems. We just get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Well, when you teach someone this, they're like, I can't do that. And the reason why I thought I couldn't do that, the reason why it's hard to do that is because if I'm in tune to you, then when it's my turn to speak, what do I say? Creating internal congruency allows words to fall out of my mouth. And because I don't have to worry about what I say and what I do, then I can just act and operate in faith that because I've done my gratitude exercises, because I have prayed, because I have meditated, I can just act over and over again. We don't script these podcasts, we're sending it right now. My faith came from, a big part of my personal faith came from creating internal congruency. And I created internal congruency by either getting rid of things that I did not align with. I believe one of the biggest keys to success is to commit into what you're not going to do. One of the biggest things that created internal alignment for me was we have things that we're not in alignment with, that we just keep in our orbit nonstop. How could you be in alignment if you have things that you're not in alignment with? So I just wanted to share that was a big part of my journey of faith, was allowing myself to get congruent with myself. Because shy of getting congruent with yourself, like until we do it, we're just everyone, I'm going to project, everyone is incongruent until they go through the journey to create congruency. And it can be a challenging journey. It can be, it doesn't have to be, because, oh yeah, we got to call ourselves on our own bullshit. So it could be a daunting journey for some. And that's what's exceptional about hiring a coach. They've walked the journey. They're a couple steps ahead of you. They're going to keep, no, it's okay. Trust me. Calm down. Keep going. Do this. Don't do that. Go over here. Come over there. Go ahead, Mike. Send it. You got something?
Oh, I was just saying in my head, like,
Yeah,
say you had to cross, say you raise your hand if you know that it's dangerous to swim across a river with current. Okay. Now, how powerful would it be if I've swam across that river 100 times or even 3 times? And I was like, hey, Greg, there's a way to get across this river.
There's a place, there's a way, there's a stroke, there's a time of day. There's
right.
Keep going. Right. Send it. I love
it.
Keep
now,
going.
Either I risked my life and figured it out, or someone did the same thing for me.
Boom.
But either way, I got across it and I figured out how to do that. And now that's a skill that I can teach or coach. And that's the same kind of thing. It's Greg said, like, if you're shooting a gun, right, and you have a target that's like 1,000 yards away, or I think it was 100 yards, but your sights are an 1/8 of an inch off. How powerful is it for someone even just to move it that 1/8 of an inch? The 1/8 of an inch over 100 yards is way off the target. And the target is where the money is, or the target is where the fulfillment is, or the target is where the feeling is. The river is the thing in between you and where you want to be. And interesting, I want to actually talk about ways that we found the incongruencies, because
I love it.
Okay. One of the things that I know, like I experienced, was like, because of like my and I've been less and less political, more than so than I've ever been, right? Like the main political belief I hold is the government is the virus.
Dude, I love you. So we're gonna forgive me because we're gonna go back into this. I to each their own, but I am very like to be like someone said I loved it. They said, what is something that there was a post on Facebook, one of the groups I'm in, they said, what's something that seems like a cult, but it's not actually a cult? And someone said, liberals. And then someone replied and they said, oh yeah, that's just the same as Democrats. Look, to be on either side, we are America. We are the people. Like, I'm not playing in division.
Right.
I'm not either side. Keep going. Forgive me.
Oh, right. 100%. So the government is the virus is my political belief. And with that said, I still support our men and women that serve in the military 100%. I'm doing a VA transaction in a couple hours, and I'm super, super excited to walk this gentleman into his first home with his wife and kid. That being said, I will always support these men and women, and the government is the virus. So where is this leading? Okay. Incongruencies within ourselves that have specifically pointed out, let me tell you this before I tell you what they pointed out, because you're going to know. I used to be like a prepper. Dude, I have all these things, all this ammo, all this food, all these guns. Just kidding. I threw them away in a boating accident. But like all these things, you know what I mean? In case the shit hits the fan. And then I was like, what am I going to do? Like sit there and mow down my neighbors? Like, Scarface?
Yeah.
No, am I just gonna, maybe if they had blue hats on from the United Nations? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, the point is, that was a big highlight in my lack of faith. I'm so scared of my life that I need to protect it at all cost. And it was like, Mike Cimorelli, that's not you. Where'd the daredevil go? And what is the beauty beyond the daredevil that's not just doing shit for the rush? Oh, where is the courageous warrior, entrepreneur, father, builder? You know what I mean? That guy. Where is that guy that's not fucking scared of all this stuff? So it's like,
Right.
that was a lack of faith. It's interesting too, because like it sounded really corny when this guy said it, and I totally got it later. This dude came up to me out of nowhere and he said, Michael John. That's like my first and middle name. And he goes, and guys, I promise you, this is just simply, this is what this guy said to me. He goes, it's very apparent to me that you don't know the love of Jesus Christ and you're angry with your parents, and probably your wife too. And I like, it's cold and I got my hands in my pockets. I'm like, he can't see my headache. What is this guy doing? And he just said, like, you need to go home, go tonight and just get before God and ask him to know him. So there was no like, okay, go to the Bible, read these 5 things, say these 10 prayers, do this and that. It was like literally go before God and ask him to know him. And I was like, I don't know if this is the corniest, weirdest thing that ever happened, but this person did know my name and that I was married and that I'm angry. I didn't think I was angry.
Mhm.
I thought I squashed all that. Like, how did that work? What is that? And that, like, dude, I was scared. I went through some turmoil for a day. And he was like, you're going to do this. When you do this, it'll be about 3 days and something will happen. So, of course, we can look at this logically. My RAS is tuned to find something in 3 days. And also, though, there was a point that was correct. I was angry. And I was like, oh, shit, I do have anger. I was angry towards my parents for stuff that I thought that I wasn't angry for. I thought that I'd cured these things. Um, it ended up being a combination of prayer and then into timeline therapy and into more. I do this like duality thing where it's like I go back and I hover into the moment and I switch the perspective and I find the positive learnings. And then I ask for these people to be blessed. And how comforting and how cool is that? It's like when love meets the fear, right? It like eats it. It's like light, right? That one light right there, if I opened the dark room next to me, is not going to change at all. But that
Dude,
dark
I
room
want
is going to be
to. Oh,
light.
good.
So that's it.
Dude, I want to share in terms of faith, if you will. So, assumably, we all know, but I'll just do a quick flyover, just a real super quick. Cortisol is the hormone that your body. Cortisol is the hormone that your body releases when you are going through stress, and it has you have to. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. The effects it has on the body, and then when you're happy, your body is releasing dopamine, serotonin, things like that. And that has another effect on the body for another day's conversation. Okay. So I'm going to share with you guys. Mike's heard this before, but when we talk about faith, it ties directly into faith, and this was one of my big aha moments for faith. Like, oh, so when I went through this, one of my it would be the most intense training that I've done so far. It was trainers training for NLP, and so we had I forget the exact number. It might have been more, but roughly speaking, 150 question closed book test. You had to turn in your cell phone, all your stuff. You get escorted to the bathroom. You had like 8 hours to complete the test. Like some of the questions were like, list the 16 steps of chaining anchors. And that's one question, like 16 steps. Holy crap. 150 question test. So I was, everybody that was part of my little cohort, we're all like freaked out, like, oh my gosh, we're learning enough. And, plus we're getting stressed out in the training. It's a very intense training on purpose. It's like a boot camp style training. So they're pushing you to your limits, and then while you're to your limits, you're supposed to be memorizing a 150 question test. And obviously there's a process in this that's it's molding your mind. Essentially, that what they tell you at the end is, we made it so you've had your worst day speaking, so nothing can be your worst day speaking ever again. So that's what they're doing. So obviously, when you go out and speak after that, like you're like unshakable because you've already experienced it. Okay. So we get down to 2 days before testing, and I'm wearing my anxiety. I'm doing really good at not having faith, because I'm not going to say up until this point I didn't have faith. I wouldn't say that. But I was very skeptical in faith for a long time in my life. Skeptical in terms of, and this is for a conversation of another day, but when we talk about faith, and again, conversation another day. When I was a child, I remember crying and begging God to please make this go away. As a young adult, I completely was against God. I still believed in him because I had to. If I was going to be against him, if he wasn't real, how could I be against him? I was very angry with God in my life. Now, I've quantified all this through a book called Outwitting the Devil. And what I quantified is God gives us free will. And in order for us to have free will, we have to have an equal and opposite choice. What happened in my childhood was the equal and opposite choice. So now I had a choice to pick God or not. All right, so that was my choice to happen. Okay, I still had skepticism in faith. So I'm like, I'll give it to God, maybe take it back because, by the way, I fucking gave it to you when I was younger and you didn't handle it for me. I'm being super raw with you right here, being super raw with you guys. Okay, so skeptical with this, right? So I had, I can't say like what the story I'm about to finish up here in a minute. I can't say it was my first time experience in faith, but that was probably one of my most memorable times, like truly saying, fuck it, send it. Like full on, send it. Like I'm going on faith. And when this happened, I was like, this was really like an aha moment for me. Okay, so we're 2 days before the test. I'm wearing my anxiety and lack of faith all over me. And I go down and one of the instructors says, he's like, hey, Greg, what's wrong? And I said, I'm worried about the test. And he said, what are you worried about? And I said, well, I'm worried I'm not going to pass. And he said, oh, well, have you been studying? And I said, yeah. And he said, oh, I would worry about passing then. He said, I would focus on passing. Okay, now here's what I want you to understand. The question was, have you been studying? If I had not been studying, there's a boundary that needs to be in place. This is a whole nother story. So I didn't say not do the things and have faith, i.e. the guy had to get into the truck, the boat, or the helicopter. He had to get in, okay? He had faith, right? But he didn't do the things. So the guy asked first, have you been studying? Or did you study? Yes, I studied. Oh, well, then I would just focus on passing the test. Okay, there's 2 days left. There's 48 hours. Here's what I want to give you guys around faith in a pragmatic level. There's 48 hours left before the test. When the test comes, one of two things are going to happen, period. We can factually say that I'm going to pass or I'm going to fail. Okay, so one of those two things are guaranteed to take place. From here to here, I can either secrete serotonin or I can secrete cortisol. What faith allows me to do when I get to this day, pass or fail, what does it matter? So what if I fail? Retake the test. Study harder. If you fail, that means you don't have the knowledge. What is wrong with that? Okay. What you get to control with your faith, or for me in that opportunity, was the 48 hours. I was either going to increase cortisol or I was going to increase serotonin. I was either going to manifest anger or I was going to manifest happiness. I focused the next 2 days relentlessly on passing. I mean, just like I went all in on faith. I was like, I'm just gonna pass this test. I've done all the studying. I believe that there's nothing more for me to do. And the instructors are telling me if you did all the things, then you're fine. Well, I'll just blame it on you guys when you're done. I'm letting it ride on your faith. I'm borrowing their faith for now. I went in. It just so happens to be. I mean, say just so happens to be. Maybe my mind, but who knows? I was the first one done. That I got the test done in like I don't know, like 45 minutes an hour, like record time. Like when I read these questions, I full on had faith and I just wrote down the answers. I turned it in. They're like, "There's no way you're done that fast." I was like, "Well, I don't know. Grade it. Like whatever happens, happens." I passed the test.
Nice.
That was one of the biggest. That was about 2 years ago. That was a real realization for me because I had anxiety, I had fear, and I fully had to let it go. And I did. I made a choice, a decision, a discipline to just let it go. I said, for the next 2 days, I'm not carrying this. I might not pass. I don't know. But I'm not carrying this for 2 days. So for 2 days, I told everyone I'm passing the test. I'm passing the test. I'm passing the test. Oh, yeah, I passed the test.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that, brother.
Thank you for that.
Go ahead. Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah, I'd say we just have a couple minutes. We're wrapping up. That was a really powerful share, dude.
I just got in the moment. It just happened. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, it's interesting because I've known Greg for a long time. And Greg has a few things, which he's a humble guy and doesn't like to talk about these things as if like, he would probably even tell you that like you can do exactly what he does. And in some ways he's right. And in other ways he's not right. Because the thing is that you can do exactly what you're supposed to do. And that's really cool. And the cool thing is that you've had these things, like when he talks about being mad at God, totally understandable. I mean, shit, I can't say that I don't even know that I could have made it through what he made through without hanging myself. And I'm sure he thought of doing that a bunch of times. I'm not trying to like get us banned on YouTube. I'm just simply saying like, no, I mean, I'm just saying like the man went
Yeah.
serious shit as a kid. Like, and like we ask her, like, if God's real, then why is all this bullshit happening? And why so much pain? Like, why so much pain? And so fast forward to now, you have a massive well of not only understanding, but empathy and just raw passion for helping others. Probably because there's a part of you that doesn't want them to feel what you've felt. Probably because there's a part of you that has a burning desire to change as many people as you can to be incredible humans. Probably also so that that doesn't happen, even though you're just trying to make incredible humans. There is a giant, and outwitting the devil, there is a giant diamond within all that. The greatest pressure creates the most incredible diamonds in the darkest parts of the world.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I told someone. Oh, go ahead. So sorry.
If you're willing to look, you can find them.
I told someone the other day. I was working with someone, and I mean, they had some, man. Like I truly feel for their position. It's big. It's big. It's just, you have to take it as big, right? I'm not sharing their position. It's big, and kind of freshly through it. Maybe like a year after it happened, but it's so big. Like a year. Like their life will massively forever be altered, massively, like not a little bit. Obviously you're trying to imagine things, like we're talking bigger than divorce, oddly enough. Like to say death, it probably equate to that. It's not a death, but it's a monstrous change in life, and very in the second quarter. This gentleman's over 50, so well into the second quarter, or the second half, if you will. So I just want to share, like you talked about the pressure in the diamond. I told this gentleman, I said, I would never, like, I can't even fathom the weight. I can't even, I don't want to accidentally fathom the weight and manifest it, but geez, I couldn't. What that gentleman's going through. But what I told him was, I said, it's done. It was a year ago. It's done. And he's like, yeah. I said, okay, so the tab has been paid. Would you like to enjoy the meal now? Grant Cardone didn't fire up till he was 50. Okay. This gentleman's 52. I said, at 55, I can already see you on stage sharing this story. So I say that to say what you're talking about, the pressure and the diamonds and what happened to me, it would have just been a sad story had it ended there. But for each and every single one of you, the things that you have went through, the tab is paid to enjoy the meal. Now get your gifts out of it. You went through it. It's over now. You want to keep carrying the, like, what we're doing is repunishing the self-sabotage. Like, we all do this. I say we all, we're repaying the payment, but over and over again, over and over again, we're repaying the payment. You can stop paying the payment. It's already been paid. You can extract your gifts and you can go out and serve others with your gifts. Mike, dude, I appreciate it. Whatever you got. Yeah. Anything you got, I'm here. I still got time, but I'm gonna give it to you to close this out.
Yeah, I would like to offer two things. And one of those is a word of caution to those who are wrapped up in only like specific verbatim teachings of the Bible. I'm just going there since I mentioned that earlier. What you just shared, Greg, is essentially the story of someone carrying a cross and dying and rebirthing. What you just shared is that. What you shared previously, and you can go back in the episodes about your childhood, was essentially Greg carrying, and Greg's happened to be like pouring and oozing sap out of it. Like, it was not a nice cross. It was a nasty, heavy one. And again, it's because of the greatest amounts of pressure. Like, I'm not saying people aren't in worse shoes. You just defined something. You didn't even share it. But if you're saying it's bad, it must be pretty bad because you've experienced some really bad stuff. I have too. Different things, different strokes, very heavy. The point is, we have these opportunities to take that cross and to die and rebirth and to say, hey, you know what? How can I serve? What can I be grateful for? When can I enjoy this meal? And then how can I serve others? How can I serve this meal to others? How cool is that? Because the cool thing about this meal that he's talking about is it's like everlasting. This meal keeps
everlasting.
Yes, it just came to
Mm.
me, but like, yeah, it's everlasting. It's there. It's the tab has been paid. So anyway, guys, I would listen. If there's anything that I said that may have challenged you, or anything he said that may have challenged you or breathed life into you, either one or both of us would love to speak with you about it. We would love to sit.
Mike, where? Hey, I'm so sorry, Mike. Actually, where is the best place? What's the best place for people to reach out to you?
The best place to reach out, you know what? You guys can you guys can send me a text. I'm going to give you my cell phone number. I'm going to have two cell phone numbers. So I'm going to give you my cell phone number. It's 310-872-8731. Go ahead and send me a text. I'd love to get in touch with you. You can
I
follow me
love
on
it, Mike.
social media.
I'm so sorry. I'm so. I just want to dive in for one second. You can dive back in. Forgive me. Dude, that's awesome, brother. I appreciate you sharing your cell phone like that. I mean, everyone I've sent Mike. I mean, we're doing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, hopefully we're making an impact. But this is touching on. I can see the analytics on YouTube. We're touching upwards of 30,000 people a month. And Mike's going to put his cell phone out there for you guys. I really appreciate you doing that, Mike.
I felt called to do it. If it becomes to the point where I need to set a boundary, I'll definitely just use the other phone and I'll look at this one during certain hours of the day, and that's totally fine. But like I said, I'm literally here to serve, and so is Greg. And yes, we have a lot of tools that help manage our calendars, and also we know that life is in session, and there's new
Mhm.
things that happen, and I love connecting with new people, and I love pouring into people. So guys, like it said again, we'll wrap this up with, if any of this resonates or there's any friction that's caused and you want to talk about something, I mean, feel free to comment. But if you actually want to engage, let's talk. Maybe we'll even bring you on the show. Be great.
I
It's
love
good
it.
to meet you.
Boom. I love it. Thank you so much, Mike.
The next 12 weeks are sponsored by Alex Jimenez. Alex is a coach, a speaker, and a VA home loan specialist. To learn more about how Alex Jimenez is serving the veteran community as well as our local community, go to ajnashville.com.